Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in to Live with Andy. I'm your host, Andy DeBala, and I have a couple of very special guests joining me today. You may have seen the gentleman on the screen right now, Mr. Greg Clark, and his buddy, the drummer from the band MC5. He was famous for his machine gun style. He had to play real loud to get above the other guitars. The other musicians.
Yeah, at the beginning I wasn't mic'd. I wasn't mic'd.
We didn't mic you in the beginning?
In the beginning, no, we didn't have the money.
Oh my God. He had to play drums in these concerts with no, he wasn't even mic'd. I was always surprised because I think John Bonham only had like a few mics or something, right? Like he only had like a couple.
He had a snare drum mic and an overhead.
Yeah, he had two mics, which
but we didn't have
very many mics
we didn't
for
have
the Thunder the guy put out, you know.
For the longest time we didn't have anything, you know. We did it the old school. And I had to play my ass off. I had blood blisters under calluses.
Oh man, yeah.
You had to keep going. You had to keep upping the size of your stick, correct? Just to make sure
I got up to what's called a 2S, and that's a straight marching stick. It's the fattest they make, and that's what I used to use before we got mic'd.
And break them too. You'd break.
I broke them in half. Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, we like break a lot of sticks, right?
Yeah, fucking A.
So you broke a lot of sticks.
And then you'd throw your sticks at the other band members for making you play too long and too loud during certain songs. So.
And in Rob Tyner's back when he was looking at you for too long. Here's the 15th verse, you know, it's like Dennis takes his fucking stick and says, "It's enough, Tyner, damn it," end the song.
So
we had fun.
So Dennis, the machine gun Thompson, if you could throw a stick at someone in our government right now, who would you throw a stick at if you had the
Biden?
Biden. why would you throw a stick at Biden? What is he making you play?
To aggravate him. Just to aggravate him.
Do you think he'd be able to walk over the stick without tripping?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
You don't even have to hit him; just throw it in the general area.
Right. Just throw it on the ground and he'll trip on it. He fell down a couple of days ago again. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, and he was doing the Air Force commencement speech, and he supposedly tripped on a sandbag on the stage and took another spill.
Isn't that embarrassing? We have a president that trips and falls all over the place. That's not a good image.
It actually really is, and it doesn't set a good tone.
It doesn't engender. It doesn't engender trust.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I think it's a correct image, really, though, because he's like stumbled through the whole presidency. You know, it's like everything he does, he stumbles. You know what I mean? So it's sort of the proper image.
He's only 89,000 years old. You know?
Yeah.
Come on.
If you're going for the political pun, you are correct, Greg. That is.
Let me ask you a question. You think all these Americans are dumb enough to vote him in office over Trump?
No, I don't believe it for a minute.
Trump's business. He's a businessman. He gets shit done.
Yeah.
Of course, he wants credit for it and he wants to brag, but that's the Trump versus Biden. The guy who falls down the steps.
Yeah, it was that impressive campaign that Joe Biden ran. It was so impressive. It just overcame the Trump momentum. That's what it was.
People were just
I think
dumbfounded by him.
Yeah.
Did you go to the rally in Toledo, Greg? Were you there for that one at Neighborhood News? There's like a couple cars that just had like the Biden rally. There's just a couple people sitting in Jeeps with like their headlights on, and there's probably about 50 people total at the rally. Then you go to Trump's and it's like 10,000 packed house. People can't get in. So it was a complete different story. But you guys told me you wanted to start off with some stories about Jimi Hendrix, Mr. Dennis Thompson. used to open, I guess, for Jimi Hendrix, and
he's getting some water. So yeah, we want to hear some Jimi Hendrix stories, and
I'll give you a really good one.
Okay, come over. He's going to give us that. All right, let me turn this around.
When we're living in a band house, and Jimmy comes out with his first album, and we bought it. And I one night there was this one song that I really liked, and I must have played it about 25 times, like a little girl playing air guitar, because it was so good. And Jimmy just had this amazing talent. He understood lyric, and he understood melody, and he was a damn fine guitar player. What a role model. He was one of my role models.
Yeah.
We did Manic Depression. We did Purple Haze.
Well, Manic Depression, the rhythm on that, I think, is what really, just the fact that he had changed the beat structure.
That's 3/4 time. That's jazz time.
Yeah. See, this is where, and that really like flipped the script on it a little bit, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we did a version of it because we all loved the tune.
Yeah.
And I learned it and I loved it. I said, whoa. Meanwhile, I'm listening to John Coltrane and Archie Shepp. So my jazz study is expanding. And then you bring Jimmy in, and he's got this cool jazz beat called Manic Depression. Boom, ba da ba da ba da boom, ba 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 boom. So I learned that immediately, and we played it. The MC5 did a version of Manic Depression, and it wasn't all that bad.
I don't think I've ever heard that one. I don't think
that was
in
the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, was that in the early days?
Sure,
yeah,
early days.
Yeah.
They had a version of Tutti Frutti too. Did you get to play with Little Richard at all?
What about that? Say that again? He
said that Tutti Frutti. He was asking if they did a show with Little Richard at Wembley Stadium.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a heck of a poster because it's got like Chuck Berry and MC5 and the Drifters. The Coasters.
Great mix.
Everybody was there. Motown was there.
Cross section.
Right? Yeah, it was a cross section of everything that night. Yeah.
You're mentioning all these great rock and roll artists from our past, and it seems we're missing some of this music on our modern landscape. Everything's gone to more pop. It's going country. It's like super produced music. Why did where did the rock and roll go, and why does it seem to have been like lost in our modern?
Well, because the modern era is all about digitization, right? And everything that's recorded now is really pristine and good. Back in my day, in our days, in the beginning, it was hard. It was difficult to get a good sound, and we had to work at that with the electric people. And we got so far with it, but we needed to go further. And we didn't quite accomplish our mission. We came damn close. I played with everybody from Chuck Berry to Little Richard to Jimi Hendrix, The Who. We had the Who.
Led Zeppelin.
I played with everybody.
Everybody.
So you know what I did? I studied.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a college student, right? I like to learn. And I'd pay attention to all these other artists that were really playing great stuff. And I'd do my homework.
Yeah, sound was like and it's like, Motown, they had a dirt floor and a beer case for a drum bass. You know what I mean? So it wasn't, but you really did have to try and get the best sound engineer and everything. So the kids live in a whole different world today,
right?
But I think what really changed things more than anything was the corporate.
The garage band is pretty much like lost on the kids
that's sort of like collapsed with the punk movement.
Okay.
Well, so I think the corporatization really that happened to the radio industry.
Right.
There was free radio in the late '60s. We had WABX here in Detroit.
Right. RM.
Along the lines of an XRT out of Chicago or something like that. And the DJs were everything because you didn't have the internet or any of those things. What you had was DJs that had a whole history of music, of jazz and all these things, and they were really cool. So you'd find like the coolest guy that knew everything about music and make him the DJ. And there was
Wolf, and here's MC5.
Right, yeah. And so in Detroit here, we had a number of guys, Dave Dixon, and I guess Rockin' Robin Seymour, and there was the 7 guys, Russ Gibb. The 7 guys in Detroit that were sort of the gurus of music, which you had to have back then. You didn't have an internet, so what happened really was when they went to the computer format, you know, about 1972 or so, where you really didn't need personalities anymore. You didn't really need DJs that knew a lot about music because they didn't know anything anymore because the computer was going to do everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when he says the digitization, it was really the computer format playmat, you know, the computer playlist,
Right.
You know, squeezed out a lot of the creativity and the ability to take a chance. You know, what the record industry wants, the movie industry wants. They want a formula to success.
Right.
So if a song sounded like this, let's have another song that sounds just like that. Or like when the movies, they had the disaster movies of the 70s, it was like Towering Inferno and then the Poseidon Adventure, and then everything became a disaster because disaster movies were selling, you know what I mean? So they're always looking for a formula to success, which is really antithetical to the whole creative process, to try and, you know, copy everything that's being done, you know?
Yeah, so, that goes to show with like music. It goes to show with movie. Yeah, you're right. Movies as well. Everything's just a repeat nowadays. Or they just rename the movie and put some new characters in it. But one of the other
falls
things,
in love with prostitute. They did that about 50 times. You know what I mean, or whatever. It's just a remake of the same old story. You know, because they run out of ideas.
Well, one of the other things with like the 60s and 70s, there seemed to be a lot of political influence in the music as well, with you guys in your garage bands, and with this digitalization and the pop music, you don't really see that as much in the music, and it seems to be kind of lost on the kids as well. They only care about like the LGBTQ plus agenda. They don't care about what's really going on, like with Ukraine, and they don't really care about like the truth and these elections.
Let's teach critical race theory in grade school.
Yeah. So how do we politicize music a little bit more to make it like to make it so it can influence the kids to be more active? Because
I can answer that. That's up to the bands. It's up to the performers themselves. They don't need to be afraid of having a political statement. Right, be it right or wrong or lukewarm, speak up. Musicians take the message to the people. That's our job, and we want them to feel good. So we play music where the girls can shake their butt and and la la la, and they can dance. And then there's music that makes them think, which is a political venue for young, intelligent, in our day, baby boomers. And the kids of today, they can take over if they want, but they're distracted. Exactly. Everything that we're listening to is all canned, super canned, and it's triple tracked, and it's lost its feel, its organic feel as a human being. It's gotten like homogenized, a little auto-tuned, right? Which takes the balls out of it.
Yeah, and that's why when you see this the advent of artificial intelligence, and I don't know if you've seen like Drake and some of these other artists where artificial intelligence is actually creating songs based they copy their voice and their beats and the AI.
Yeah, let's just listen to the fucking machines. You know what I mean?
It's almost like the same thing. You almost can't tell the difference, and I don't think you could get that with the music you guys were creating.
AI doesn't have heart
or soul.
They don't, and they never will.
Yeah.
And exactly, and you can tell, and with the themes of the music as well, like with like modern rap music and stuff. It's nothing about like drugs and sex, and pop is almost like just like kind of, it's either soft like teenage girl music or like it's Korean pop nowadays. There is no meaning in the music, and it all is becoming robotic. And
right, you exactly right. It's the emasculation of the feeling, of the heart, That's missing.
Well, I think there's they're not, like you said. I think it's a failure by the artists, like you're saying too, just because of the messages. They're not really resonating all the messages out there right now. There's a lot of anxiety right now. There's a lot of fear right now. But I think that ultimately, and what we're trying to do here with this next record that we're doing, is we're trying to put all the messages as the elders of what we think they really need to know, and to open the portals for them, whether, to all the different shows or whatever it is, but to do it in a cool way, do it in a fun way, do it in a way that people dances, but they go away thinking about, about their freedom, or about whether they want freedom, or whether they really want to, go to war, do they want to be drafted, do they want to succumb to the politics of fear, because everything wants to make them afraid, So we have a lot, people are worried about their kids, Protecting the Nest, I think, is a song and a show, So all these different things, we can reach the kids. But what I found out is, listening to the high school students and everything like that, they're basically an open slate right now. Okay. So what we need to do is hit them with a really good message and and some power, and something that empowers them, like you say, to become active, to actually do something, but to do it with a purpose, and to do it with love and violence, love without violence, to do it, to put your love into action, you know what I mean? And how can you do that? And
he's basically saying, kick out the fucking jams or get off the stage. Right.
It's time to do something, be a part of the problem or be a part of the solution. You know what I mean?
That's right.
It's time to make up your mind. You know what I mean? You're going to have to decide. It takes 5 seconds of decision. It takes 5 seconds to decide if you're going to be a part of the problem or a part of the solution. But you understand, in the 60s and all that, and with the bands, there really was no political band in the radical 1960s other than the MC5. And they were willing to take the hit for this. But for anybody else to actually speak up in a direct way, or, against the war or anything else, was death to your career instantly. You know what I mean?
Is MC5? I read that the manager John Sinclair founded the White Panthers, and he actually bombed a CIA office in Ann Arbor.
It wasn't John; it was somebody in the clique.
Okay,
I know who they were, but we don't talk about that.
What's that?
Says, I know who they were that did it, but we don't talk about that.
Okay, I was just going to ask, was he part of your just political influence? Is he?
Yeah, John had his own agenda, and his agenda was to be we used to call him the Pharaoh.
He was the Pharaoh, though.
Yeah, he was, and he was a brilliant mind, and he had education, and he had a good message. But unfortunately, he smoked some joints with a FBI agent, a woman. And was sentenced to 10 years. And he griped about it. Hey, John, you were dumb enough to let yourself get caught.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. None of us got caught. The band members, we could say and do whatever we wanted, because that's what people wanted. They wanted that freedom of expression, freedom to say what they want, whether they were right or wrong, which is like life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be right on the money all the time.
It was just difficult for John to be the manager of the band when he was off in prison. So that created a bit of a situation there. And so there was a rub there. It's like, you're in prison, you can't manage us. You know what I mean? So John felt,
John felt hurt.
Yeah.
He was hurt.
He was hurt. And the music was also evolving to a different level, They brought in, we have to talk about John Landau. You're talking about Tutti Frutti and that album, which was 10 years ahead of its time back in the USA, but was very much the inspiration 10 years later to the new wave movement that came out of England, where MC5 was very, very big in England and Europe, So, that became the impetus, but that album was interesting. It was John Landau who produced it and got involved, and he did the Titanic later, and he did Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run, had Bruce Botnick and Jack Holzman, the best engineers. It was but the thing about it is, it was his first attempt at being a producer too. He was a rock critic.
He earned his chops on the MC5.
Yeah.
He had never been a producer, never been in a situation where he controlled the movement of the music, and never managed a band before.
Well, he was a poet before, correct?
Well, right, poet, beatnik, you know,
Rock critic.
rock critic.
Yeah.
John wore many colors. The thing is, though, when he was faced with going to prison for a mistake he made, he tried to put us down for it. He tried to say, you know, you guys you don't believe in me anymore. You've abandoned me. No, we have not. You're in jail. Do your jail time, and when you come out, you know, we'll embrace. In the meantime, shut the fuck up.
Well, I was kind of talking about John Landau and John Sinclair, so we had two different Johns going there for a minute. But yeah, but well, it was two poles because John Landau brought a lot of professionals with him, and he made the band like get on the beach and work out and like get in shape, and you know, he was
eat yogurt.
Yeah, run laps, eat yogurt. So it was a completely different leadership than we had under John Sinclair. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And being different.
Right. And really the band, you know, unfortunately really hit its stride. I think with the best record was the third album, High Time. Right. But by that time, corporate America and the record business had realized that the MC5 was way too dangerous. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They were the one, you know, the one thing they couldn't put the lid on.
Or anything after that. Not going to be touring not going to be getting the big tours because they can't be having the message out there.
Well, they let you tour, but they weren't going to put a lot of money into the album to promote the album. You know, they weren't going to get behind that. That's like the best hard rock record that's ever been made, MC5 High Time, you know, and it's the most political record that's ever been made. You know, it is the most political record I think that's ever been made. You know, and so it's got all the messages right there. And that was just that album is way too powerful. They were not going to let any money go to promoting that record. They did have a tour, but the band broke up before they made that album in Europe though. And that is just one of the, I mean, that album is just a wonderful, wonderful album.
You
know, that
really 1972. I listened to one from Germany on YouTube and it was awesome. It was a great album.
Yeah, that was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a really good record. But and that so many bands had really been inspired and, you know, launched by the MC5. You know, I mean, the Who was going to quit and they came to Grandy and said, oh, we must go on now, you know, because we played with the MC5 or you know, Led Zeppelin or any of these people. You know, it was, you know, even Jimi Hendrix, you know. There's a story. I don't know if you know this or not, Dennis, but did you know that Rob used to have blonde hair?
No. You
did not know that? Actually, he had run into Jimi Hendrix or looked at him, or I don't know. He had hung out with Jimmy real early, and he was fascinated by his hair. That's when he decided to dye his hair black and go with the fro.
Right.
It was because of Jimi Hendrix. Now, no one knows that Rob Tyner once had blonde hair.
But he didn't know what to do with his hair.
Yeah, so when he met Jimi Hendrix, he figured out what to do with his hair. You know,
right.
You gotta get some.
Jimmy paved the way for Rob to be free. Hey, Rob, let your hair fucking grow.
Yeah. He's like, I got the coolest afro ever on a white guy. You know,
you catch a lot of flack for that too, though.
So switching gears a little bit. We have you guys are from Detroit, Michigan, and you guys used to just rock out Detroit. And Detroit is a former nutshell of itself. It used to be the richest city on earth. What lessons do you think America could learn from the downfall of Detroit so we don't find ourselves in the same position as a country?
Well, understand what happened. I mean, do your homework and then take it from there. Bottom line is, you know, it's pretty free nowadays. I mean, you can say and do and swear and whatever. And the bottom line with that is, are you still making good music? Who out there plays music that makes you get a chill up your spine? Name a band that does that for you now. Chill up your spine.
It's been a while since I've gotten a chill up my spine. I usually go with the older bands.
Well, that's not stupid.
I guess the Alabama Shakes may have been the last one. If you ever heard of the Alabama Shakes, they were pretty good.
Not really. I will listen. I'll look them up.
They got they're a little mod or what's his name? Can't think of him right now. I saw him play one time. Gary Clark Jr. You ever hear Gary Clark Jr.?
Honestly, no.
Oh, you got to listen to some Gary Clark Jr. He might actually give you a chill. You might listen to him and be like, That sounds like my day and age.
Well, I'll do it and get back to you on that.
All right. But
I'm a critic too, you know.
But another question I have for the rock and roll music during like when it was coming out was compared to like satanic music and then devil worship music. And
Yeah,
I don't really
the religious zealots.
but we actually kind of see that nowadays in our modern pop music. If you watch the Super Bowl, they're always putting on satanic. They always have like satanic messages and symbols hidden in them. And like last Grammys, Sam Smith actually came out in like a devil's outfit. So like I don't think rock and roll was actually devil worship music. But why do we not see the same type of like spotlight from the media on what is being presented to the public?
How so?
I guess.
Well, like they got like Elvis, you know, I mean, he did his hips, and now they're putting Satan on their satanic rituals in front of everybody. So I mean, nobody's complaining about that. You know,
you guys would take a lot of heat in your day and age and be like devil worship, satanic music, and nowadays it's just like, oh, there's some right-wing nut jobs that say that type of things when we're watching the Grammys, and I don't.
We were the furthest thing from satanic thought you could be. We understood rock and roll for what it was. It's music that makes you feel happy. You want to dance.
Mm-hmm.
You want to, get together with people.
Party, sex, and drugs, baby.
Rock and roll in its purest form is going to bring people together.
Mm-hmm.
And we had an audience that listened to what we told them, and we'd tell them, look, we're here to play music for you. We're not political people. We're not politicians. We're not that. We play rock and roll music. And when we're done, if you guys are all happy and you've danced and you've gotten your fill, mission accomplished. It's that simple. The best rock and roll bands in history were bands that just came out and played. I can name 10.
I gotta say though, on the the whole thing is because I started to rant about this when I was 18 years old, and I see it as a continuation of my rant. Because it was like 1980. And I was interviewing Rob Tyner, actually, the singer from the MC5, and I was just a kid. And I say, what happened? Because it went from the 60s, and the message was, we want to be free. We don't want to have to succumb to the old mores. We want to be able to be ourselves. We want to be able to say what we want.
Right.
We want all these things. And it went from this message of we want to end war and promote peace and love and give peace a chance and all this stuff. To by the late 70s, what had gone as like comic book stuff that we thought was fun from Alice Cooper, Alice Cooper Goes to Hell, but it was just comic book stuff. We didn't take it seriously, and then it got more comic booky with Kiss, Knights in Satan's Service. And, the whole message of we are trying to, the message of the beatniks, that we are trying to reach spiritual illumination. This whole idea that we were going to change the world, change ourselves, make things better. Use love to make things better. That seemed to like go completely out the window. Now we were in disco and punk and so like the whole thing, but the whole satanic thing was really bothering me. Like AC/DC really bothered me as a child. I'll be honest with you, because I'm a lyricist by heart. I grew up under Bob Dylan. You know what I mean? It was like, if you're evil, you're a friend of mine. Let me take you to hell. Hell's bells. What? Those are lyrics? What lyrics for what? 12-year-olds? You know what I mean? AC/DC is a band for 12-year-olds. That's what XRT always used to say every day on the radio station. If you want music for 12-year-olds, go to a different channel. Don't come here. You know what I mean? And that's what you say that every day on their channel. That's how I felt at the time.
The idea of rock and roll historically,
yeah,
and up through the MC5 and the Who and all the good bands that went out and toured, King Crimson, I can think of a lot of them. That the idea was to play the music well. The idea was to get the point across that, hey, it's okay. It's okay. There's problems. We got Vietnam. Vietnam entered the discussion, and we shut down the fucking war. Yep. The people, not us. I mean, we were sort of behind it. We don't need the boys dying over what? That was a big thing back in our day. And we got a lot of flack from the policia for that.
Yeah.
You can't take that stance. You can't tell those people that. Well, we're just telling them the truth. Rock and roll's about the truth. If you can't handle the truth, go somewhere else.
You guys were anti-military industrial complex, and I don't see any of that going on nowadays. If you see anything, it's like pro-war, pro-Ukraine, pro-fight against Russia. There's no
right. Brain's a great example. My God, nothing like going backwards, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They had the reality that in their face that the draft was going on. You know, and 2 weeks after high school, they tried to, you know, you
2 weeks after you got a notice to go to Fort Wayne.
Yeah, I mean,
you didn't go to college, you were fucked.
Yeah, and that was a big thing on the youth at that time. That was like hitting them with reality, you know, and it may come to that again. So it's time that we really get these messages. And what we're trying to do is I'm trying to harvest all the messages from, you know, you and the Ospreys and George and all these people, to try and say to these kids what they really need to hear, you know, but to do it in a fun way, in a powerful way, in an empowering way that, you know, that will allow them to maybe go out and do something to help change the world and give them some ideas of how they can do that, you know, because those are things that was never in the music before, you know, other than it was in the music because in those days it was stand together, protest, you know, we shall overcome, you know, all that kind of thing. But
solidarity, because
now there are more specific tools that would have to be employed to really make changes, both you know, lawful cases and, you know, street activism and news and just getting news out.
Let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Has there been a band that you can think of in the last couple of years that really shook your socks off? Yes or no?
No.
Simple. No. Same here. What happened?
That's what we've been digging into. Digitalization,
the internet.
Personalization.
Well, the internet happened.
Yeah.
And you can watch any band you want anytime you want to. That sort of spoils the thing and sort of makes it like, you know, I don't hear any band since maybe Nirvana that was honest, and their music was simple. And there was a movement that became the punk movement. You know, that's done. They did it. It's done. Where do we go from here? I'm asking you.
That's where I'm lost. that's why I'm trying to have this show. How do we get our children, the youth, to be more politically in tune? And I think music and art has a lot to do with that, and where we're at right now with it. If you watch movies, it's just about like LGBTQ plus, it's about climate change, it's about racial theory. Right. It's just a bunch of just like nonsense issues that they're arguing over, and it's kind of the same thing with music as well. And I don't know if it's social media, TikTok to blame, or the
it is.
It's hard to get these kids to get involved and care about what's actually going on. Because I'm even
ask yourself, if you're a 16-year-old kid now, what would you want to listen to? Seriously,
what all the girls are listening to.
Smart, yeah,
that's right. That's right. Rock and roll in its purest form is designed to make you feel good, to make you want to sing along with the radio when you're driving your car. It makes you want to socialize, makes you want to dance. Good rock and roll. There just isn't enough of it today.
Yeah, and it's simple. It's not that hard. You know, make it powerful, simple, and with the right message. And a lot of times I think what's happening with the music is they're not saying something that's really resonating with the people, you know? Like maybe, you know, it's getting there, you know, like I don't want to be locked down. I don't want to wear a mask. I don't want to, you know, I don't want you to force me to take a vaccine. I don't, you know, all these different things. It's there, you know, and one of the things I was working on today is, you know, a lot of people know that something is wrong. They have no idea what's wrong. Meet them all the time, you know, but they know something is wrong. And so we have to start there. You know what I mean? You know, something is wrong. Don't act like, and, you know, pretending that nothing is wrong isn't going to fix it, because it's still going to, you know, So, that's basically what it is. I put it on the news crew and everyone to, and I even, challenge the people in chat or whatever, if you really had to say something to these kids, what would you tell them?
What would you say?
And to protect the nest, there would be something, hate speech, fear, these are titles of songs, you know what I mean? Because
to read the Constitution,
Ed's working on his, it's called Native American 1866. So he's going to tell the story of the Constitution. That's something they need to know,
Beautiful.
I bet you the kids today can't give you one amendment to the Constitution. They can't tell you. They can't tell you. They're not taught it. They're trying to teach them critical race theory. They're trying to teach them, look, what we got going on here is a whole different era. It's all electronic. It's all whatever you want at your fingertips. Well, that's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually threw the Young Americans of Liberty off campuses for passing out constitutions. I mean, come on.
What?
The reason they have time to dig into critical race theory and the LGBTQ agenda is because of technologies, because they can just go on the internet or go on a calculator and put the math question into their calculator. They can put the science question into the Google browser and it'll just pop up the answer for them. So now they're just working on people's feelings at this point.
Well, and they're getting lazy in the process.
Yeah, they're pushing us in the wrong direction. And the fact that our school administrators are getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars and they're leading us down this rabbit hole of non-prosperity. It's troubling for America's future. And this is something that we have been trying to touch base on with neighborhood news as a whole. We've mentioned protecting the nest. We had like 3 mothers that came on the show and try to showcase how to live in this world. And the youth, it's just hard to break through when you're not making these short TikTok videos and you're not making these YouTube shorts and you're not making all the terrible music. And we do appreciate what you guys are doing, because I know you guys are going to college campuses around the country. You guys are performing, you're handing out flyers, and you are trying to change the youth culture. And if you guys want to touch base on some of the things you're doing a little bit, that'd be great.
In the process of recording an album right now. It's about halfway done. And Greg and I are working on 2 or 3 songs to wrap it up. And these songs are rock and roll in its traditional form. It hits you hard. It's played strong. I'm a drummer and I smack them. And it's played with enthusiasm. It's played with love. And the kids are going to get it. They're going to like it because it's got energy. That one thing that's life energy. It's important in the music. I mean, rock and roll, when it first came, it first started happening, was a threat to the establishment. It's like, we can't have these black people influencing our children. Well, shut up, What's wrong with black children? What's wrong with black people? And we went through that whole, this country went through that whole racist thing. And there was a lot of tension, a lot of fights, a lot of riots. We got through that phase. And right nowadays, I would say that the country is in a good position, because the kids can go on the internet and they have all of this music and all of this thought at the touch of a button. Now, who directs the kids to what?
Right.
Algorithm.
Well, how do they form their own, how would you say, their own basis of thought, their own basis of who am I in America today?
Well, I think part of it is what you're fed. You know what I mean? If all you ever ate was a saltine cracker tastes pretty good. You know what I mean? But once you hit these kids with something really real, because right now I see they're wide open. I said, what do you like? I said, I don't know. I seem to like everything and nothing. You know what I mean? So instead of trying to follow whatever they're doing, you have to lead them. And I think that there's been an agenda. Let's face it. Like you're seeing it. You're seeing their agenda when you see satanic rituals every year at the music awards, at the Super Bowls, at the movie awards. This isn't by accident. You know what I mean? They've been onto the same,
Right.
to where it started out as a ha ha ha, it's only Kiss, it's only AC/DC, to now where they've taken over and made it a culture of ego and violence and all these different messages. And the kids are wide open to whatever you feed them. You know what I mean? You feed them saltine crackers, they think saltine crackers. When you start feeding them good messages and good ideas and better music, they're going to eat it up. You know what I mean? Because right now they're eating what you're feeding them. And that's what the entertainment industry, unfortunately, has fed them. You know,
they're making it feel like your back's against the wall. If you listen to their message, everyone, you feel like everyone else is the enemy and your back's against the wall, and you got to be ready for some fight. And you're right. That's what we do. Need some more rock and roll. We do need some more positive energy in the music.
Right.
Just energy in general.
Positive energy. It's addictive.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very strong thing. I've been doing it all my life, and I know how powerful it can be. I also know how negative it can be with the bands that have a negative fucking outlook,
mm-hmm.
that are into Satanism, that are into everything sucks, life is a bitch and blah blah blah, bitch, moan, moan, moan. Shut up.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear a positive message. When I'm still 16. I'm going on 74. But I'm 16 in my heart. I want to hear music that's lively and energetic and happy.
Yeah, and some of your best music, the best moments of some of our moments of life, I'd have to say, were in musical moments where we just hit a love frequency between all of us, and it was in the whole room.
Yep.
Well, that's something you do actually work on, correct, Greg? Is sound therapy and tones and vibrations and how those can touch into your own personal energy and change your mood, correct?
Well, yeah, we have the Tesla technology, the Bergling Tesla technology, and we're going to do a fundraiser event, a 24-hour online concert,
mm-hmm.
and we're going to show these new technologies because they does have level 2 FDA approval for anxiety and depression, but also takes care of your soft biotissue issues, no matter what's wrong, with your body organ or your body tissue or your skin. It can all easily be healed through Tesla technology. And I just think it's been a war against science, the whole time. It's been, I have a song, there's no Tesla in Tesla. They don't allow any Tesla technology in Tesla Corporation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not yet.
Not yet. So we're going to work on them. We're going to through the words and of love. We're going to try and persuade Mr. Musk to see the world in a little different way than he is now. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we'll be doing the clips from all the digital ice, and you'll see animals and dogs and cats and people losing their arthritis, their hearing coming back, blindness,
mm-hmm.
lots of COPDs, thousands of backs, knees, hips, cancer. All these different things are all easily resolved in future science, and away from the pharmaceutical industry is really unnecessary, except when it comes to when they get into health, when you start combining different nutrients and herbs and things, as these become digitalized, we'll even be able to do things even better and faster. But right now it's pretty much a cure-all. We're going to go, Dennis and I are going to go to Florida, I think, and do some of it ourselves, put it on ourselves too. We all have a few things we can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, we're trying to, and that's basically the impetus of this, because I think if we get around the idea of love and healing, and love conquering all this hate, and then talk about this, because truth and justice, and you guys are in the truth and justice department, at Neighborhood News Studio, and Mark Kulak and all these people. You guys are all in the truth and justice wing of this. Those are just children of love. So that will be in the music. We don't want to censor people. We want people to say what they want. We want people to say what they want out of their mouth and in the music. But the impetus of the event is to, see that the only way we're ever really going to end these wars and these energy wars and these carbon lockdowns and this bioweapon attack on us at every level, is with this future technology, because it ends it overnight. That one technology ends the entire medical industry, the entire medical insurance industry, the entire vaccine industry is gone overnight. As soon as it gets in people's hands, it's over, you know? So that's the solution. That we're about solutions. And that's what I want to put in the songs that have never been in the songs before either, is the solutions and the education and words that become portals where you could ask your phone, like, what, he just said a name. I didn't know that name. Who is that? You know, and you ask your phone, and all of a sudden it may have been Macduff. You opened up a whole portal of years of research and history and books and libraries and search engines. And so we want to make the music actually do something it's never done before, to instill action, to teach action, to educate, and to still make it fun and dance, you know what I mean, and powerful. But by giving the power to people to navigate the waters, to get to real information, the way the Ospreys do, to actually start thinking about spirituality and a personal relationship with God rather than always just studying religion. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, that's gonna talk. I'm starting to rant. Okay.
You know, this guy will rant all day, but he's good. You know,
that is true.
I never interrupt him. I let him go. I let him go because, you know, he's always got a little crystal goodness there, and I'm going to learn something. He's one of a kind. And there are those of us that are in this boomer generation are older, and it's sort of up to us to be the parents to these kids, because I want to go monitor some high school classes again. I've done that before. I've released music before to see where the kids' heart, you know, where they are. Do they understand passion? Do they understand following your passion in your life, and you'll be happy?
You're shaking your head
because what you're doing is you're doing what you love.
Yeah.
They don't teach you that in America. They teach you that, all right, you go to grade school, blah, da, da. You go to high school, blah, da, da. You go to college, blah, da, da. You wind up being some fucking engineer or whatever else. And you never found yourself. Yep. You don't know who you are because no one's teaching you this. You know, what is your passion? Try following your passion. You'll be happy.
A lot of times it's the opposite. If you tell people you have the passion, they'll tell you you're dumb, you're an idiot for going along with it. You don't have the skills, you know. There's like behind it when you tell people that.
Well, those are people that are negatively aware. I don't care what they say. I know what works. I've gone and done lectures in high schools in the last 5, 6, 7 years. And these kids are starving for the word.
Yeah.
They're tired of hearing what, you know, they're tired of it. Yeah, I know I got the internet. I can go watch porn. I can do this. I can do that. Yeah. But that's pretty thin. Break it down. What's important is the relationship in real life of young people, where they get together and they really open up themselves and they say, you know what, I don't want to be an engineer. You know, I'd rather design dresses. Well, they go design dresses. You know, passion and doing what it is you want to do is not easy. You have to do a thing called work, right? And you have to be diligent, and you have to be honest with yourself. And stop listening to all these opinions. Too many opinions. Good God, it's cluttered.
You actually
go on the internet for about 3 hours.
Yeah, I was just talking to a girl at work, and she said her grandfather bought Bob Seger's equipment, and after, because he needed the money, he borrowed the money or whatever. He bought him the equipment, and then he told Bob Seger, he said, "Look, son, you'll never make it in the music business. You have no future in music. I'm buying you this music equipment, but I just want you to know you have no future in music." You know.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, I've done it myself. Don't ever underestimate people. You don't know what they can do. You know what I mean?
Well, they need to commit.
You know, and this doesn't mean that what you try is going to work. But the thing is, you'll learn no matter what you try.
At least you know you don't want to go down that road, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, freedom in America is freedom. You have the freedom to teach yourself and to educate yourself, instead of mom and dad puts up the $50,000 to put you in college, and you still don't know who you are and what you want to be when you grow up.
Right. Most kids don't. They don't really know. Most kids change their major.
No, yeah. It's a journey.
Yeah. I mean, most kids have no idea in college what they really want to do or what they're really. So the important thing, I think, is to try things and consider things. And I think one of the things that's really cool about this, if we can get this fundraiser done with Digital Ice, is you can take one of those units and you can go around, and it's a home device. It's not a medical unit. It doesn't need any medical anything. Okay. It's a home device. So you can go around and help people, you know, with their, you know, if they have pain, they live in chronic pain, you can take their pain away, or, you know, do digital, you know, you could do skin, you know what I mean? A lot of all the beauty shops could be taking wrinkles out. This technology does all those different things. And there's 5,000 videos, and we can take clips. I mean, it's amazing the things that you see. Well, swollen knees just disappear, cysts disappear in a minute, in 1 minute. The whole cyst that was there is gone in front of your eyes, you know?
That's amazing.
It is amazing. You know, it's really amazing. You know, it took me 5 years trying to get the word out on this, and it's not really I think really this is what it's going to take, you know, because people have a hard time. The only people that really believe it are the people that experience it and the people that have followed me through the journey, but it's not enough at this point. We're really going to have to do something to try and get it over the hump, because a lot of the plans of the deep state are related to bioweapons, biosurveillance, biocontrol, world bio, you know, government. And this is basically the only solution. You're not going to win fighting these people. You're going to have to make them obsolete overnight with one cut. And that ends the entire vaccine game, the virus game, the bioweapons game, all that stuff.
Yep.
What? The cancer game. How long is that? It's so funny because when we did cancer, so many times we did cancer, and cancer, it doesn't matter what kind. Cancer is just a cell that's lost its engine. And once you revitalize the cell, the atomic structure, it just turns into healthy cells again. So all this time is spent killing cancer, nuking cancer, you know, radiate cancer.
Well, that's always the answer, isn't it?
Right. Kill it. Kill. And in the end, the worst thing you can do is kill it. Just hold the device over it, and you'll see that one ball of pancreas. And I'm trying to think of his name. Ken? I think his name was Ken. But I mean, in 20 seconds, a ball of cancer like that in the pancreas just disappears. You know what I mean? It's like
magic.
I don't think we needed a knife or a nuclear bomb, or, you know, Bob Ball was going to put steroids in his back the other day, almost, you know, prednisone. You know, I was like, oh man, you know, so I'm personally horrified at the current state of medical, but we can bring in this new world, and we have free energy. I'll be honest with you. We already have these formulas. We already have these things. The problem is we need to get the cabal out of the way and to take away their tools of slavery that they plan to use to keep us enslaved. Their green program.
And the footnote on that is, by default, Biden becomes our president. Number one, he's too old. Number two, he's stupid. Number three, he's controlled, and he's running our country. I mean, the guy, you know, he falls down wherever he goes. I mean, come on, this is not the kind of president we need.
Well, he's basically the servant of China right now. I mean, you've got the Pentagon said that they're protecting China. FBI who doesn't want to pursue the Eugene Yu case, they're protecting China. The FBI smoggling Chinese spies out Eugene Yu, destroying evidence in court cases, and providing false affidavits. What?
Yeah, the FBI has been attacking U.S. citizens. They've been putting us under surveillance on Twitter, and then January 6th, it seemed like they were the
That means you're doing something right.
It's like the FBI.
Well, that's a really fun one. We're going to stay with that for a minute. Dennis, have you ever been on FBI surveillance?
Yes. NCIA.
You guys got all your files, though, freedom of information. You guys get I think you got a lot of the files. I mean, you know, it's funny because when they did the MC5 movie, A True Testimonial, some of the best footage in the whole movie came from the FBI, from their surveillance films, like the '68 convention.
Yeah,
a lot of that stuff came from the FBI. Like they released their films. Like, thanks for the footage, man.
Yeah, right.
You know,
here's the real deal. Here's what's really happening. You know, there's good and bad, right? These kids are faced with a dilemma. Are these teachers, they're in their 30s, maybe in 40s? Are these teachers smart enough and currently modernistically aware to be able to teach the kids some of the good things? Okay. When you were in high school, did you have like free speech?
Not really. No.
Right. Here's the lesson. Here's the assignment.
They made me switch one of my T-shirts. I forget what it said on it, but they made me switch a T-shirt I was wearing inside out. So the whatever.
Oh, you rebel, you.
Yeah, I know. Something dumb. I forget what it was, but
we played this one gig. There was 20 police there at the back of the hall, with 3-foot billy clubs. There's 20 cops lined up there just waiting for us to say motherfucker so they can take us to jail again. So Rob says brothers and sisters. I mean, we're not stupid.
Yeah.
And we took away their ammunition. They couldn't touch us because the rest of the stuff that we say is you know, be aware of who you are, information wise, take what you want and forget the rest. This is America. There's so many choices, but you know, when the establishment rears its ugly head, they don't want that change because they can't control that change. Young people, every generation of young people, they have their own mind, right? As a unit, as a collective. And in most cases, it's positive, it's good. But there's so much negative information being thrown in everybody's face, and that's part of the trick of the controlling class. I'm not going communist on you, but that's part of the trick to keep people stupid and down. They don't want you rising up. They don't want to be positive because it hurts them because they have negative awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the ammunition is like what you're saying, and really the best ammunition is love, okay? Because you know, if we start in that frequency, you know, so much of what they're selling is based on violence and hate, and you know, the computer games are based on violence, the movies are based on violence,
right.
The music is chock full of violence and ego, you know. So I think the best counter to that is to make them Socratically think, okay, not just tell them to love,
right?
Make them think about making choices, you know what I mean? About how you react to people, you know, how do you want to be, you know, how do you want people to see you, you know, how do you know, how do you want to talk, you know, do you want to speak and think in the words of love, or are you going to go around and just prove you're the toughest guy in the world? Let me know how long that lasts, you know?
Yeah. Well, a lot of the also, other than violence, a lot of the message, one of the messages that's pushed in a lot of the music is individuality. Is being a strong woman, being a strong, like being the boss. You know, there's not a lot of like group talk and love and friendliness with a collective at all. It's all just separation and
which in the perfect world, that's what it ought to be doing.
As individuals, right? Sure, yeah.
As human beings, we're intelligent, and basically we know what love is.
Yeah.
So why can't we encourage love with the kids? Oh, it's not sexy enough. It's, you know, it's like square. No, it's not. Love is simply allowing people to do and say what they want to say, and you live your life according to what you want to do. Yep. Without hurting anyone.
Right. The whole idea of the collective good, you know, isn't good for anybody. You know what I mean? We want individualism. You know what I mean? We don't want the collective good, the greater good. You know, all this kind of thing is not good. You know what I mean? But the thing is, who, you know, you can ask a lot of people, and it doesn't even have to be kids, like, who are you? You know, who are you? That's what, you know, like the Who asked, who are you? First, figure out who you are and what you stand for. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so if we take it back to the most basic things, maybe they'll realize that some of yeah, I mean,
you're breaking up a little.
To all of it. Yeah, he's saying we're overwhelmed, and he's saying they're overwhelming, becoming desensitized by being, you know, I mean, one movie, like 150 people get shot, you know. So it's been like this whole desensitization, like you say, to actually, you know, and the answers will be found together. You know what I mean? But we have to come together, and we have to realize that they have to have some cold water on them to realize that this is a very important time, and they don't have the time to spend 40 years being a screw up. They better get a hold of their life and their government and their community, or they're not going to have one. You know what I mean?
The people that
or children,
the people that run the country are deathly afraid of true freedom.
Right.
Because freedom allows you to explore goodness. It allows you to explore alternatives to what they're trying to teach you. You gotta get a job, and you gotta have 2.3 kids, and then, you know, your life's boring. You gotta get a degree, and you don't know what you want to be when you grow up. All kids go through that. 10%, 20% know what they want to do when they graduate high school, and the rest of them are still searching. Well, good. There ought to be alternatives out there presented to them by us, the boomers, and the generation below us, teaching them in our schools, on the street, how you raise your family. We're making progress, but it's sort of slow.
Well, all the funding, you look at the funding, like all the research and science and medicine, everything, it all goes into pharmaceutical. It all goes into, you know, we don't encourage a lot of different, you know, there's no real journalism career, so there's no use teaching journalism. You know, there are still things they do well in college. I think they do well with business. You know, possibly literature, you know, different things. You know, they're not doing everything wrong, but, you know, as far as helping kids find a place, you know, the whole destruction of small business and entrepreneurship and individualism and, you know, true capitalism as opposed to corporatism, you know, we're not really doing anything with that. Now it's, I don't know, we'll find out what they're teaching them, but I know one thing is they better find a way to make it in this world. And this new technology is a great way because any person could go around and, you know, they could open a little, you know, they could help animals, they could help people, and they could earn money doing it. You know, you could, and if you're a small business, you could have the first digital dental, which is what I did, 3 root canals. You could be a skin doctor and have the first digital skin for rashes and burns and viruses, you know. You know, you could be a pain clinic that is pharmaceutical free. You could be a veterinarian that's gone to digital because you see how much more effective in my animal videos. I mean, it blows the veterinarians away. I can take away the inflammation from a big giant horse leg. They go, we could never do that. You know what I mean?
We're sorry.
Yeah, you know, they're grateful. They were good. They actually, veterinarians were cool. They were grateful. Yeah. And they cared about their animals, you know.
Well, gentlemen, we have hit the hour mark, and I do want to get off so people can go tune into McDuff. But I would love to have you on again if you guys if you guys have an open schedule, because you guys have a lot of thoughts that I think the audience would likes hearing. So,
well, this is what we do. So we're always available.
Yeah, we want everybody to participate. Like, whatever your message is, if you got something really cool to say, go ahead and throw it out there, and we'll see if we can work it in. You know?
Yeah, get a dialogue.
Yeah,
that's beautiful. When are you playing anywhere soon, Dennis? In
the studio.
You got to be in the studio, you know. So Dennis doesn't get out and play, even with the reunions and all that. This is going to be a special thing. And, you know, I think, you know, we may get the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame if Ludwig will draft it and do it from there. And then we'll have all the rock stars come and just be a private party. And it'll be a good, you know, he loves to play, but, you know, just touring and all that, you know, it's too much fun just to stay home now.
Well, I'm 74 too, you know, I mean, Christ, you know, how, you know, why go on stage when I could make a record and get the message across through that music? Yeah. And just do a good job.
And control the message a little more too.
Control it and make it nice and tidy and sounds good, but it's got power. It's got energy, the energy of love.
Well, if you're willing to showcase your energy, your next album on our channel, I would love to have you come on and we could play some tunes and you could break down you could dig a little bit deeper after each song and just, you know.
Well, thank you. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. Beautiful. Yeah. Well, thank you, Dennis, and thank you, Greg, for coming on the show and breaking down the government, some of your musical history. I really appreciate it. The audience in the chat seems to love it, and you guys have a wonderful night. And don't be sharking too many people at the pool table after that.
You got that right.
I know you guys are.
All right.
Excuse me. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Andy.
This has been great fun. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Have a good night.
You too. Very good.
Yeah.
What a team.